Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Stormreach Marketplace. I was going to say on this warm sunny day, but all of a sudden I've just noticed we've clouded over and it's beginning to pour down. So that's buggered up my opening line. Hope you're all having a good day. We've been having plenty of fun getting this caster cleric to level 25 here, as you can see now. Let's talk a bit about the new additions since you last saw us in late heroic. So we've added a couple of heavy hitting level 9 spells, one based on light here, gives damage to the opponents and heals anybody in the AoE, so that's great. And one based on fire, the Celestial Bombard, which is kind of the signature spell. I think I see this one all the time whenever I'm grouped with somebody with a cleric or favoured soul build. Whenever they're a caster type, it's just like boom 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 all over the screen. Fitting in nicely with our fire and light theme, well, the fire side anyway. I've picked up this this one from the primal tree. That's not an epic strike. Remember, we were using the sun pillar single target epic strike, which is doing very well for us. But this one, an AoE, it's on a longish cooldown, 20 seconds, but again, same as the divine wrath, it's giving health to us and anybody else in the AoE, I think. Is that right? Healing allies. And also dealing fire damage, which is in keeping with our build, to people around us. So good times. As I've opened this, we may as well discuss a bit what's going on here. So as promised, we've gone into Evergreen, so all the metas are switched on now, and we're doing okay with the mana conservation. Broadly speaking, because I'm still leaning quite heavily on spell-like abilities, we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the buggers which we're using regularly. It's just when I get a bit swamped I throw in the bigger hitting, heavy costing spells, but otherwise it's been really good. What else have we got in here? That's just doubling the damage of the Reborn in Fire. We've got more evocation spell DCs, so we're up to, I guess we're up into the early 70s in Reaper for the bigger spells. Actually, for all spells, because we've got Heighten, haven't we? So even for our little SLAs, we're up into the early 70s, which is great. The blinds are working very well from the Sunburst, Holy Smite and Sunbeams, and the spell powers are looking pretty good. Basically everything I've done in the trees has been with half an eye on spell power, so 3 in there gets us 5 spell power in fire and 5 universal, 3 in there the same, our 2 cores in each one, more spell power. We've got these 3 more spell power, these 3 more spell power. So they're bringing us half decent things anyway, but my main focus was to boost the power up. I've left 10 points in each of these trees to be able to take the 3rd core when they come available at 26. That's the signature ability as far as I'm concerned of this tree, the wings, and is the perhaps the only reason some builds dip into this tree. 11 in Angel is a popular splash, I think, for many endgame builds, just to get these wings, which are the best of their type in the game, I think, in terms of short cooldown and that kind of thing. So yes, we're in a pretty decent place on the Epic Destiny side. Quick look at the spell powers, where we're at. So fire and light, remember, are the 2 that we're really focusing on. So in terms of spell power and crit there, we're doing quite well. I would say when we get into Reaper now, we're probably touching 700 when we put our potions and things, and we have our light buff from the enhancement tree. I think we can probably get towards 700 light spell power, which isn't bad. Speaking of Reaper, did we? Yeah, we've got some cores to add here, so we can add the 5th. Is that any good? Yeah, that's not terrible. We'll add those in. Okay. Gear wise, I've hardly changed anything, to be honest. Just upgraded the goggles a little bit, if it's going to allow me to show that. There we go. A bit more evocation DC and a bit more wisdom. I could have added a ring which would have given me festive wisdom, but that's kind of the equivalent. If you look there, there's a Reaper ring enchantment giving a 1 bonus on spell DCs, and that's what I would have used the festive wisdom for, so I've just left that there. Feats, very simple. We took, I can show you, can't I? So the 2 epic spell powers, this one at 22 and this one at 25. For those who didn't know, these have a little stacking element, so at the end of each one, of course it's light focused, and the bulk of it is helping our light spell attacks, which is great, but at the end, look, 5 universal spell crit damage. So for each one of these we take, we're actually helping the others as well. So the fire one is helping a bit the light. Those 2 are the main ones, so they were no-brainers to take on this build. 21, I took epic mental toughness for more mana and more crit chance. I wouldn't recommend that if you're going to the cap. The standard one to take for a caster damage dealer would be, especially if you're in Draconic, would be the Wellspring of Power, because you can double the duration of that in Draconic. If you don't fancy that and you're really focused on DC, we could have gone with epic spell focus evocation, but that would presume that we'd taken the spell focus and greater spell focus in heroic, which we didn't actually do. If you recall, I took mental toughness instead. Again, just because I was leveling with it. I would normally on a DC build I would try and maximize those DCs, so I would have taken the spell focus evocation, as it's almost exclusively what we've been doing. I think there's only this destruction, necromancy. Even our insta-kill implosion is on an evocation DC, which I think is brilliant. So that's the feats. Quick look at my little comments that I've got saved up here. Oh yes, another element of the gear that I missed. As promised, I added the epic coalesced coinage orb, which comes from another man's treasure in the 12 level 21 quest. No real need to do this. The fury orb would have been fine up to the cap, just a bit extra on the stats it's giving, but we are losing our I think it's called coalescence, which was triggering extra mana on light and alignment spell on light spell casts. But having said that, now we've got this evergreen going for temporary spell points. I think we'll be okay on that score. Oh yes, we did spies in the house, and Sunbeam and Sunpillow were regularly one-shotting the undead in there, so that felt great. Those, as a reminder, are our heavy-hitting single-target SLAs. Speaking of heavy hitting, I've learned to use, especially before tackling a boss, this turn undead. You don't have to hit the thing with it, it just has to be in the sort of general vicinity, and then you start getting these purple numbers against it. So very, very helpful. It's that 10% extra on all the light stuff, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if you want to count the second sunburst, which I don't throw very often because it's more expensive. I could and probably should be putting that on there because it would hit way harder than the Holy Smite, but the Holy Smite's much cheaper spell point wise. So yeah, using that, I didn't I didn't kind of look at that. I didn't pay much attention to that bonus for turning. We haven't geared for turning, so my turning itself is not going to be anything to write home about. But the effect on the damage afterwards is pretty good, and I think that lasts maybe for about 10-15 seconds, so long enough to make good inroads into a boss. And as we've got plenty of them, we can always recast it if needed. Implosion, great for killing stuff that's kind of harassing you while you're trying to do other things. A bit like the Druid's Core Lightning Storm, but deadlier and with a shorter duration. Multiple kills possible, of course, for one cast, so it usually works out good for mana management too. Oh yes, the insane range on our spell-like abilities. On the Sun Pillar, I think it doesn't take enlarge, but I think it's double distance by default anyway. And then these are ray spells, so they are double distance by default. So for shooting things like those nasty ballistas in the Deneth quest, Storm the Beaches, awesome stuff. Surgical. Yeah, before you pick up the Evergreen, these are also these single target SLAs. They're also very good mana management tools, so you're not having to use more expensive instant kill stuff like the destruction, because these things are often one-shotting trash anyway in the earlier epic, so saving you a lot of mana doing that too. So again, unlike in other lives like Sorcerer lives, where I found myself having to migrate away from the SLAs, broadly speaking, and rely on my enormous spell point pool to do the lifting for me. Here we've been pretty much able to sit on the spell-like abilities and just use other stuff to sort of supplement what we're doing. So that's been a bit different and been good, because we don't get well, we do now, because I've taken all the improved mental toughness stuff, and we have a reasonable wisdom score, so we've got a reasonable mana pool. But before, when you're just there with a couple of thousand, you think you need to keep an eye on it, so the spell-like abilities have helped a lot with that. Oh yes, it's the first time I've seen purple numbers against the Marut at the end of the Jungle of Khyber, by using that tactic with the turn undead and then the light spells, and the destruction and long range ray spells that we have were very good against the beholders, to murder them from distance without them doing too much, if anything, to us. So that was nice. I can probably switch that back now. I did switch to Reaper's efficiency to maximize our mana potential in the Reaper tree. Reaper's efficiency, if you didn't know, I think it's almost a 50% discount, well 45, on spells cost while that is going. That's 30 seconds duration, so for a boss fight or something when you're chucking everything in, very handy. I think now that we've got Evergreen, we might as well go with the power. Oh yeah, now this is one for you, Terry. Doing the Haywire Foundry quest. As many of you will know, I'm sure, we typically use a hireling to pull the trapped levers in there. And for the first time that I can remember, one of them actually survived the trap. And it was a heroic hireling in an epic quest. It's the druid from the what's it called? Mythdrana expansion. Rana, is it Rana Leafheart? And I think the reason she survived, well, I don't think she gets evasion. I think the reason she survived, there seems to be a bit of a quirky thing where she appears with a bank of temporary hit points to her name. I've never been quite sure why, but it seems to work quite well for her on the trap side of things. So maybe if you've got some nasty traps to disarm and you would like your hireling to survive, that might be one. In my case, the hireling gets dismissed as soon as they've done that lever, so it's neither here nor there. But I just, it was a bit of an eye-opener for me, because they've never survived before in that trap. Okay, I think that's about all I had to say. I thought we might have a bit of fun with this one, and take purple through the Catacombs chain, because obviously undead heavy. I have certainly suffered plenty in here in the past with their crit resistance and all the rest of it. So maybe I'm after a degree of payback here. If we could just go in here and destroy everything in our way, I would be delighted at that, and have a bit of fun into the bargain. So all the metas are on, but I am going to still be using mostly spell-like abilities,
The sanctuary is quiet,
because they've been working pretty well, and light here against the undead. I think, oh, what did I do there? I pressed the wrong key. I went for the sprint boost.
Unpleasantly large.
I think we're going to try and pull this lever and then turn around and deal with all this rubbish that we've created here. Okay. Go away. My go away button, as mentioned, is the implosion key.
There are more signs of bloodshed in the north wing. The smell of corruption grows stronger. The dead here.
So opening the chest before we trigger the encounter. That's our heal and damage AoE. Get the implosion triggered. Read the note while the implosion's still going. Hopefully we might... there we go, that was beautiful. Let's get out of here if we can. Path of least resistance, although I'm not really kicking ass against the undead, am I, by doing that? Hopefully their time will come. So back up to see our friend in the marketplace. I was wondering in passing whether any of you might be interested to see, oh sorry, it's Dryden, isn't it? To see a video or two on raids. I'm by no means an expert, but I'm just beginning to get to the stage where I can contribute reasonably in some of the more popular ones. I usually take my ranged character Red in there because typically people prefer like a healer, a tank and a load of damage dealers. That's the standard sort of raid composition. So I just wondered if any of you maybe like me for a long time sort of steering clear of all that for a variety of reasons. Might like to see a bit, you know, with some comments in the background as to what's actually going on, because I know when I've looked, it looks quite impressive with stuff all over the screen, but I've no clue, you know, that there's usually just music playing in the background. There's nobody sort of explaining what's actually happening and what the object of the exercise is. So I would have found that quite helpful. Northward, okay, let's do the quick buffs.
Rumble throughout the sanctuary. Their numbers must be growing.
quick buffs. It probably takes me longer to do all these than to complete the quest, but I'll be glad of them, I'm sure, a time or two. We do have true sight. Yeah, I thought we might see that. We have true sight from the falconry tree.
Found a secret room. This must be where the warden
Okay,
kept
let's
his
get out of the way of
keys.
that thing.
His body lies on the floor, twisted in death. The undead have a flicker of blue light draws your eyes down into the courtyard below. Something is looking back.
So we're imploding stuff in the background as we're going. I think I better do something about all this, hadn't I? Okay, somewhat overkill. Right, against the boss, let's just get the conversation up to where it's nearly... Let's do the Hood of Unrest, take our little potion, and don't forget to do the turn for the extra damage on him. Right, let's look for some purple numbers here, beautiful. So any light damage is going to do extra. Come on, something come off cooldown. Okay, so I think we saw towards the end it reverted to normal numbers, didn't it? So about, I think it's about 15 seconds maybe of boosted up damage you get there, so that's not bad at all. I think we could see as well, without the Hood of Unrest there, that thing would have torched us, so that was a nice use of that one.
The exit gate slams closed as you approach. Yet, from the south, you hear another portcullis clatter open.
Now that's a problem I often have when I'm trying to interact with something
This way you
and
hear the rattle of iron.
there's a potential combat target in the way. I mean, that's an illustration of how far away we could attack. Just really nice.
This lever may open the way.
Yeah, I've interrupted myself. When there's a potential combat target in the way and you can't interact, the biggest issue I've had is when trying to deal with the trap boxes in the Master Artificer raid in the end room, when there's a load of mage fire cannons pop up, and I'm desperately trying to get these boxes, and whether I press interact with object or whether I press you know, the mouse key, nothing seems to work there. It always seems to want to fire the crossbow, whichever way I'm facing. So that's quite frustrating. I wonder if any of you have a solution for that, because I could see some people dealing with the boxes all right, as I was struggling futilely to do so. Okay.
Suddenly, the shadows rise to meet you. Guillaume barely has time to scream. The symbol of the secret flame is engraved on the arch. You must be near one of the secret compartments.
Is that a Reaper?
Ruffles the pages.
I think it was. Take no chances. I think that little chest tells me the Night Revel event is still going. It should have finished a long time ago. I'm not quite sure what's happening there.
Someone has carved a message into one of the shelves. The shelves seem slight. You hear a chittering sound from behind the shelves. Atop the pedestal
So
lies
again,
a
when
scrap
surrounded,
covered with
that little,
violets.
well, it's not little, it's quite a nice big beefy SLA. The one from the primal tree, this Reborn in Fire. is very handy, low cost as well.
A name is scrawled in blood.
I'll demonstrate it again here. Implosion for not being distracted away from what I'm doing while still killing stuff. Very nice.
Behind them lies a heavy metal gate.
I think we've still got some. Oh, it's just an archer behind us there. Is that the last one? Nice one. Go away. Couldn't have an episode without the troll face.
Another bookcase grinds open to the west. Greylight's voice calls out. Hello, Clem.
I think we're going down to the bottom now, aren't we? Now this has been purgatory for me on so many occasions, so if we can go in here and smash the living daylights out of them, I would be absolutely delighted. Times down here where I've run out of mana and all sorts of stuff. It's just the volume of the opponents. Also, if you have if your standard attacks are pretty much geared around AoE type stuff that explodes things like the bards have, and all the sarcophagus explode and you get loads more enemies to deal with, that's not ideal in here either. I don't think we have that. I think our light AoEs will be okay. Let's just do a quick test here. Did we actually break one there? Or did one just come wandering out? I'm not sure.
The sapphire gate is
Oh, we are breaking them. Oh, that's not so good then.
You hear scratching sounds from the central crypt, like ragged nails.
But perhaps a bit less so than we would if we had something like Fireball. So basically, any time I get a bit surrounded, I hit the big keys and something good happens. I'm not even sure which key I'm gonna hit. So, but usually it's something good. It's either a Divine Wrath, a Bombard, or a Firestorm. He didn't die. That was an instant death thing I tried to do against him and it didn't work.
You hear a clatter from the hall. The emerald gate is open.
That's not so good. In fact, that was downright feeble.
The scratching sound from Gerard's tomb grows louder.
Reaper, I got the sound burst in, so we got the bonus damage. Oh, we got a Fear Reaper behind us now. For emergencies, we do have the heal spell on the bar. You saw there we got a full top up, so that's nice. Yeah, I'm making a mess of this. I think partly because I'm not wanting to, but I'm opening the sarcophagus by doing my AoEs.
You will have to find a way to a plaque upon the floor reads. This
Sarcophagi even.
You hear a clatter from the hallway. The topaz gate is raised. The scratching sound from Gerard's tomb reaches new, frenzied heights. The amethyst gate is shut. You will have to find a way to raise it. A plaque on the floor reads, Shiraz.
I think you've seen enough already to see that if you're into sort of throwing spells around, This is pretty fun. Leave us alone.
You hear a clatter from the hall.
Just to reiterate, you're seeing the build at its best here, because against all the undead we are doing double damage.
Shrill cries erupt from the still-sealed tomb of Gerard Dragon. Whatever it is, it knows.
And we do have an almost 50% chance to crit with the light stuff, so with those little SLAs, they're gonna hit pretty hard. We have 4 of them on a reasonably short cooldown, so not good times for the opponents.
Anselm Dragon, sword of the light undying. You hear a click from the direction of Gerard's tomb. A plaque upon the floor reads, Marshal of the militant
Oh, Reaper in there. Come on. Oh, spell went missing. We made up for it with the second one.
You hear a click from the direction of Gerard's tomb. A plaque upon the floor reads, Herein lies Lombric Dragon, bishop and defender of the faith.
I've thrown that much rubbish down here, I can't even tell where the lever is we're trying to pull.
With a shriek
Okay,
of rusty
hopefully
metal,
most of that stuff
the
is going to be off
sunstone
cooldown
gates
for this
enclosing
big
Gerard's
showdown
tomb
moment.
grind open.
Oh, let's just get rid of these first so we're not fighting on 2 fronts.
Three sunstones are mounted above the gates to Gerard Dragon's tomb. Plaque on the floor.
And if I'd have had anything about me, I would have hit the turn there first to get the extra damage. Having said that, we annihilated them anyway, didn't we? So it's all good.
You can do now.
That's one for
Report your
Klitsch.
findings. As if on cue, Bishop Greylight enters the room.
So yeah, broadly speaking, if you've never tried it before, once you pick up this evergreen in the primal tree, it triggers often enough that you're really not having to keep too much of an eye on spell points, unless you're using no spell-like abilities at all. I mean, most of my single target things, there's just that one there that isn't, and you can see the difference. Look, 74 spell point cost. I mean, that's abusive. If I was paying attention at all to the spell point usage, I wouldn't even have that on the bar, because compared to like 4 and 8 and 5, I mean, it's just not in the same ballpark, is it? The only reason it's there is for bosses and such. Broadly speaking, I'm just going through 1 to 3 when they're off cooldown, if I've got single targets to hit. If there are things in a group, I go with the 2 spell-like ability AoEs, or if there's a nasty group around me, hit the fire reborn thing again, a spell-like ability, and then mop up with the bombardments. So we've got Firestorm, Divine Wrath, Celestial Bombard, and another Sunburst there. Other feats I could potentially have chosen at 24 instead of Intensify, which just adds another 75 on all the spell powers. I could have taken Embolden for more spell DCs if things were saving regularly against our attacks, or I could have taken the very popular for evocation casters Burst of Glacial Wrath, which would have held all these undeads no problem. Comes out like a cone in front of you, like a dragon breath, if you've not seen it.
But the entrance is sealed. Signs show that a battle took place.
That one typically the casters don't use it for damage, they use it for the hold, and then follow up with the most damaging. Whoa!
The main altar lies ahead, sealed within a cloud of deep darkness. Shadowy forms linger at the edges of the room. They seem...
Did we get both there or just
Hear a
one?
click from the nearby portcullis.
I think we must have got them both. Yeah, I wish I could have shown you the Sunburst against those Forge Wraiths in Shan. Just like instant deletion. Awesome. I would very much like one day to go in with my druid into the Too Hot to Handle raid with those Sunbursts and see what they can do. We need to respect more the damage these things can put out, because we are not particularly tanky even though we're wearing heavy armour, and we're only one silly mistake away from death in here.
With a rusty shriek, the bars before the Conflagration Chapel rise.
I wonder if Implosion would help us down here.
Words
Let's
are
try
etched
it.
in the altar of the Conflagration stands before you. You have to destroy its heart without an undead gun.
Yeah.
The shadow over the
Happy
shrine
days.
vanishes. You may now relight the flame.
Crikey, there's chests everywhere and they still haven't finished the night revels. I wish I'd have known I would have done it in Epic instead. There's one for Glitch there. I'm pretty certain, maybe somebody of you can answer me this, I'm pretty certain you can only do the revels once a life and get the big XP from it.
Good boy.
So for me that would obviously be in Epic. I mean, if you could do it once in Heroic and then again in Epic and get the full from both, that would be awesome. I don't think that's the case. If anyone's tested that, please let me know in the comments.
The altar of the Avenging Maiden stands before you. You will have to, as you destroy the white, the shadow overlays the darkness.
That's alright, we do the altar while the undead are exploding around us. Happy days.
The central vault. The main altar's guardians have awakened.
Now then, can we do our turding thing here? Might get some purple numbers, yes. Nice one.
Of the undead. The way is now open to light the last shrine. As you ignite the last shrine, a sense of warmth and welcome sweeps over you. You can now proceed to the Patriarch's crypt.
Okay, so far so good. So the Cocoon, as mentioned, is a nice low-cost top-up. To say again, I've picked that up not because we didn't have much heal, but because we, with all these active, they would all go on the like my cure critical there. You can see it's costing 70 spell points a time, so there's no way that's sustainable. So the Cocoon is there for a quick top-up out of combat, ideally. And the heal is there for when we're in combat and we've taken a big chunk and we just need healing a big amount ASAP. An added bonus to that one is it doesn't take many of the maximising power. I think heal only takes quicken or maybe the empower heal spell as well. So it's not. I think from our metas it's only taking quicken. Is that right? Or enlarge as well. It will take. So it's not being boosted up too much compared to the others, which is suiting our purposes.
Voices whisper from the darkness. It is the time for shadow.
Ouch.
Before you stands the sarcophagus of Cardinal Dinaz, fourth patriarch of Stormreach. Fresh blood covers the mystical wards engraved.
Very
into
pleased to
his
say that I've probably in this one chain I've used the implode more than I did and more successfully than when Purple did his favoured soul life. So more than happy at that.
Before you stands the sarcophagus of Cardinal Henry, third
And there you see why people don't particularly relish being a tank when there's one of these divine casters in the party and your screen suddenly gets blinded by that kind of stuff.
voices whisper around. Before you, the ward on the third sarcophagus is restored. It doesn't look like you'll be able to get back to the room of love.
Now then, what we're going to do about this trap? Do we have any wings left? Oh, we can just jump over it. Okay. Hey, that's a feat as a cleric. I didn't even take my jump potion there.
The air grows cold. Something terrible stirs ahead. Near the sarcophagus of Cardinal Bravado, first the White Hall. The temple wards have been
Right, let's
restored.
try and be brave and take the thing
Turn
on.
to leave, but your ear catches a sound in the distance. As Marguerite snaps out of her stupor. Listen! She commands.
So Hood of Unrest
He's
again.
angry now. He's coming. I can't stop.
Remembering to do our
Marguerite
turn
screams as her
undead
body is
when he pops
absorbed
up.
into the shadowy form, which is looking more somber.
Try for some big damage against him.
A cold, red
You can see some nice purple numbers. Every light spell is doing extra damage there. Yes, happy days.
faint, unearthly chimes seem to ring from up this pass. The altar lies beyond the gates ahead of you. Succor is at hand.
Okay, what now? Is it back to Dryden again? Yeah.
We both know this will end in violence. Ready, soldier?
I think this is the last big one coming, isn't it? And then it's the little finale in Dryden's room, if I'm right. Again here, well, the most frustrating thing I have in here is the quest bugs out, like one opponent maybe goes missing, or one of the, you see the barrier there, one of the barriers refuses to open to let you go further, that kind of thing. Usually it's because of one of the ghouls has wandered off somewhere and you've got to find them, but I can assure you there are times where it happens when it's just to be a dagger in your side. It's actually, well, on one side it's playing into our hands, the nature of these opponents. On the other side it completely neutralizes our sound burst. The only use for our sound burst really here is against Reapers. Don't die! Oh my god! Yeah, that's an example of what was mentioned earlier. We're certainly not tanky at all, are we? And some of these things can put out some nasty damage. That was really bad. Very quickly from situation A-OK to situation desperate, didn't we?
Another target down. On to the next.
To be more careful. Come on then. Run. Yeah, we like to be dishing it out from distance, don't we? Or running away from the things. We're not particularly happy. Whoa! When the things are in our faces as they are here. Yeah, those ghouls can really dish it out. Let's have a quick look. We are in heavy armour, but yeah, not amazing for mid-epic, is it that? Still, it's not terrible, the PRR. We're taking a tonking from them. Oh, crud, wrong key. Any more? No? Yeah, those ghouls are the worst. They just sneak up on you. thought I'd seen a Reaper or Reapers in there. Little buggers. Is that it now? Are we... yeah, we're to the end. Okay, so we need to... well, we can AoE smash the other things down, can't we? We have a... no, it's on a 10-minute cooldown, the Hood of Unrest, so we're not going to benefit from that. We're just going to have to do it with brute force. Throwing in our turn. I think our heals are gonna see us through. Nice, nice, nice.
We both know this will end in violence.
Yeah, the problem, the obvious problem with that area is there's no escape. You can't kite or anything, so you're kind of it's them or you.
Archbishop Dryden stares down at you.
I don't know if they changed this recently. I thought that if you targeted and killed the skull in this one, everything would be finished, but I don't know if it's different in Epic or what. I still think that's the idea, but let's see how we get on. It's easy to get smashed up in here when all the stuff gets summoned at the back. Initially there's just the skull and then all this stuff comes, doesn't it?
Floats out from the shrine.
So disappointing, nephew.
Do our turning for some extra damage on the skull.
The skull of Gerard Dryden. The undead remains of the man whose demon worship brought so much evil to this place.
Is it actually... oh, it's finished now, I think. Except it's not, is it? They've appeared afterwards. Oh, this could be very dangerous. Damn Plague Reaper! It did allow me to illustrate, I should have died there. It did allow me to illustrate one nice thing. I think I've made the point before, the making a complete hash of this. The rejuvenation of dawn that's on our bar. That saved us when the plague thing came up. That was the only thing that could heal us through the plague, because it heals for so much. So I hit that. It's a 10,000 heal and removes everything basically.
Don't get weighed down.
We only needed it because I made such an unbelievable mess of the Plague Reaper in the first place. But yeah, that's the weakness of this build, I guess. The well, of many. If you get plagued, your healing basically goes down the toilet. Having said that, we managed to scrape a win there, didn't we? So I will take it. I think I've done enough there to show you the where the build is at anyway, albeit in circumstances that heavily favoured us with the undead heavy questing. Get rid of all that. Okay. So yeah, loads of fun, chucking all the fire and light stuff around, very immersive. Learning to use this turn undead thing before the nastier fights. I think you saw again at the end there the purple numbers coming up, which definitely helped us against that nasty boss. So yeah, contrary to what I thought and what many of you might have thought, leveling a cleric, if you fancy having a cleric past life for any reason, doesn't have to be painful and can be a lot of fun. Just to reiterate, purple's going for it here for these it's the iconic one we're doing, the Morninglord, and we're going for these. He's going to end up with 30 light spell power. For those of you who didn't know, the Warlock has a toggle called Utter Dark Blast, which can make the base component of the Eldritch Blast based on around light. So that extra 30, although he's not really built for spell power, it's going to help him a lot leveling that tank Warlock build, and help him maybe to keep a bit more attention. And if he is soloing lower Reaper legendary quests, that'll help him too. So I figured why not, because at the moment he doesn't have a legendary toggle, sorry, an iconic toggle to use. Okay, I think that's about it for this one. My plan is to go up to 29 and see you again on the build, at which point maybe it would be nice to have a go around the Delira's tomb and reacquaint ourselves with the undead. I think it could be fun times. Okay, I hope you're all well. Thanks for looking, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.